apparent in some people, and there was also the fact that some people were simply undergeared for the encounters. Now, the discussion didn't actually have to go about gear at all, because that's a simple one. People are undergeared, we have a baseline, meet that or you don't get to come to the raid. That's it, that's final. The other one is a really tricky one. It is player skill. Now, because we are a social guild, you are happy-go-lucky and friendly to everyone all the freaking time. However, this does not always necessarily work when you want to raid, because when you want to raid at any kind of serious level where you want to actually kill something, you have to be harsh to people at some times, and you have to be honest with them, go up against their face and tell them face to face, look, I'm sorry, you're shit. You have to improve. You're not doing enough DPS. You do not meet the hit cap. You don't have enough gear. Your rotation stinks. We're currently on a boss, everyone is doing 12k DPS and you're doing 8k DPS, for instance. That's simply not good enough, you have to do 12k DPS as well. Go fix it. Right? Currently you need an atmosphere like that to make raiding work at any kind of decent level and get a decent rate of progression. And by that I mean you kill a new boss like every single week. Right? We raid twice a week, on the Tuesday and the Thursday. And prior to that we did one raid a week when we just started out. We had the first raid, we killed 2 bosses, everyone was like, yes! And then the week after we had the second raid, I came in, some other new people came in, and we didn't kill a single boss. That's not progression. That is shit, really. And this is a real blow to people's morale. They go like, we're bringing new people in, they're crap. Why didn't they improve? Why are they better before they even come into the raid? And this is where the conversation actually got interested, because basically it was the group of somewhat more hardcore players in our guild stating openly, look, to the lot of you that also sign up for raids, you need to improve more if we want to be successful. And then let's just say that that is like a part of the guild, and that, you know, this part over here, the bigger part, is like the more social people, because they're not actually more social. Let's just call them the slightly less serious people, because, you know, they put in slightly less work than the guys who are really hardcore, and from the moment Cataclysm hits, they're bam, 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 we're doing heroics, we're getting our gear sorted, we're checking everything on Elitist Jerks, we're browsing forums, we're optimizing rotations. And then there's a large part of the guild that doesn't go about that stuff quite that fast. In fact, they're a lot slower. It's not necessarily a bad thing. People just have to keep in mind that when we want to raid and make progress, that people have to adapt to that more hardcore mindset to make it work, basically. Because otherwise, you know, you have 5 people putting in that much effort, and then you're bringing along 5 people that are not putting in that much effort. What's the point? Those 5 people are going to underperform. You know this before you're even in the instance. What's the point in making those 5 people put in all that effort? Why are they doing it? It makes no sense. Now, the conversation kind of went, the hardcore people are saying, put in more effort, and then the rest of the guild is saying, okay, take us to a raid so we can learn how to avoid lava pillars and everything. And then the hardcore group is like, well, you're kind of missing the point here. We want you to improve before you even show up to a raid. And then it's sort of the big part of the guilds in that particular meeting not quite understanding that, and the conversation kind of goes back and forth, and it doesn't really get anywhere. That's basically what happened in short, because I'm really going past a few corners really quickly here, but that's basically what happened during that one meeting. And that's, some might call it bad, some might call it good. It's somewhere in between, really, the end result. The end result is the feelings are on the table. Everyone can see what's going on, and that is a good thing. And people have to understand that that is a good thing. And the person in charge, which is me, has to understand that that is a good thing as well. It's really important that, sure, there might be issues, but at least everyone knows there is an issue. If no one knows there's an issue, then the stuff, you know, kinda simmers within people and at some point explodes into drama. That's the problem. Now, the meeting didn't really end all that well, because the more serious people were kind of expecting there to be a solution at the end of the talk, which took 2.5 hours. And there wasn't really, because at the end of the 2.5 hour meeting I said, look, we've had a lot of discussion, we've had an issue being brought to the table, we've had someone claim some possible solutions, we've had people just talk in general, airing their opinions. Obviously this is such a big issue because it hasn't been handled yet and the officers are sort of incapable of sorting it completely, that I as a guild leader have to step in and fix it, basically. Because that's my job end of the day, because I'm ultimately responsible for everything. Obviously I don't have a solution right now, so I'm going to give you guys one in a few days time after the weekend. So wait for that, kindly. And it didn't actually go down well with the more serious people, because they were like, well, we don't have a solution. Oh my god, what are we going to do? Not exactly like that, because it's not entirely fair for me to claim that they are like that, because they're not, they're great people. But I can totally understand them having feelings like this and them being disappointed in all of this, right? I mean, you guys out there that are watching this right now can obviously relate to this issue and go like, well, you know, set aside the social people for now. Just focus your feelings on the group of somewhat more hardcore people and go like, well, this is obviously disappointing to them. They're being put into a situation where they feel like they are putting in a lot more effort, and by doing that are sort of dragging everyone else along. And that's simply not fun, right? And regardless of whether or not they are actually carrying people along, because that's beside the point here, the point is they feel bad about this. And seeing as how they are guildies, and they are raising a point like this, they are obviously concerned about this, I will have to look at that and go like, well, I have here a few guildies who have an issue with something in this guild. And they, as a consequence, they are not having the fun they should be having. That is a bad thing. It should be fixed. Regardless of how many guildies it is, regardless of how big the issue is, it is an issue, people are not happy, then it needs to be fixed. That's basically how it works. Because this boils down end of the day to my vision for the guild, which is everyone is catered to. No matter how big or how small the group, I cater to their needs. If it's 2 people playing PvP, I have to look into seeing if they are having fun. If it's 2 people raiding, I have to look, are they having the fun they want. If it's a big group of people raiding and it's not working, I have to step in and figure out why is this not working. If the raiding officers in question can't figure out, they pull me in, we try and come up with a solution. That's what I'm there for end of the day. Now, obviously this is, you know, dragging along a bit, and I apologize for this, but it's a big subject and it actually gets interesting. You will get this in most social guilds, and most of the times, unfortunately, a situation like this leads to the hardcore group of people quitting, leaving your guild and going off in search of some guild that has more people just like them that want to raid just like them. And usually that means you lose about 5 or 6 people that go off to a hardcore raiding guild. Suddenly you lose your core of raiders and raids simply don't happen anymore. Attendance dwindles, people lose interest, either the guild collapses or you continue at a somewhat slower pace and everyone else is cool with the fact that they're off and we're not raiding anymore. It kind of depends on how much the rest of the guild wants to raid as well, sort of. Now, the fun thing is, the learning experience is that all of this is actually my fault. And let that sink in for a second. This entire situation is my fault. The mere fact that it is around is my fault. And you might be thinking, well, Sen, why? How is this? What does this have to do with you? This is five or six guys in your guild saying, you guys are shit, you need to be better. And then the rest going like, well, you know, help us get better. And then the rest going like, no, we don't want to. Because, you know, that's not our idea of fun. How is this my fault? It's actually quite simple. Episode number 1, I talk about my vision for this guild. And my vision for this guild is having a guild with people of all walks of life within WoW, so raiders, PvPers, social players, everything, into one guild, having fun together. And everyone's catered to. So we raid. And this means having a group of people that can actually raid to an acceptable level. In order to make these raids happen, a certain amount of leeway slipped in at some point. Small mistakes were overlooked. People got in that were undergeared. We knew in advance that some people didn't have an optimal rating spec or optimal experience with healing the new content. There were all sorts of really tiny small things that people knew about in advance but weren't actively sorting out. And this is where it becomes my fault. Because when I say that I want to cater to everyone's needs and I let small stuff like this slip in, I'm doing the exact opposite of catering to everyone's needs. Not only am I basically flinging mud into the faces of the hardcore people by not following the rules to a very strict line, I'm also not tending to the needs of the more social people that also want to raid, because being strict would actually help them. They would actually improve and they would feel even better by reaching those goals, just like the hardcore people. Because in essence, they kind of want to be at the same level, which means they kind of want to be just like them. And actually reaching that level will make you feel very proud about actually achieving it. If I'm not, or the guild in general is not strict about the rules in this regard, people will not get to that level. They will simmer somewhere below, and the rest will be up top and thinking, we're pulling these guys along. What's the deal here? And we're not killing bosses, we're wiping endlessly. We're helping neither party, basically. Right? If you want to see it in two separate pieces. Neither one is getting what they want. And that's my fault. I should have been stricter. Really. The result of this, the result of me not actually being strict and letting small stuff like this slip, is I am undermining my own position of being a guildmaster. I am creating a scenario wherein people look to me and go like, he is actually not living up to what he's saying. He's not following his own rules, he's letting small mistakes slip in, he's not saying anything. What kind of a leader is this? Right? He's not appearing very strong at this moment. In fact, he's appearing very soft because he's letting everyone do whatever the hell they want. At that point, people are not actually comfortable anymore telling me where the problems are. Because subconsciously they're going to be thinking, he's not going to do anything about it anyway, because just look at that guy over there, he got in without actually having the proper gear and he's doing this and that and everything. That's the situation I was creating. That is why, when we had the conversation at the end of the meeting, all the harsh words that were said were actually a pretty big surprise to me. I had no idea the feelings were that strong. I was horrified. And I was disgusted at a certain level, I suppose, about the fact that I didn't know about this. And the next day, I was considering to quit being a guildmaster of this guild. I was seriously considering to stop being in charge, because apparently I'm putting myself in a situation where my own friends, and you have to imagine here, the core of the hardcore raiders are actually guys that I've been gaming with for the past 2 or 3 years, and all of whom I know in real life, and most of whom actually live close by me, who I consider to be actual friends. Now, I'm not talking about all, I'm talking about actual friends here. And my own actual friends can actually no longer tell me what's going on. They can't be honest with me. And I put myself in this position. I was disgusted at myself. I was like, what on earth am I doing here? And so what I did the next day is I phoned up all of them basically, and I explained this to them, and I was like, I don't think I want to be in charge if that means that I put myself into a position like this. Because I value your friendship a lot more than being in charge of this guild, making Musings of a guild leader, and actually having people online streaming for more episodes. Your friendship actually means a lot more to me. And all of them were like, damn, yeah. Well, stuff. The conversation in the end made a few things clear, because they cleared up that people didn't actually want to tell me stuff like that. That's all of the stuff I just said right now about putting myself in that position and how it came to be that